It wasn't a bad race, that was it? 2 weeks ago, the British Grand Prix definitely delivered. Aleix Espargaro coming through from the back of row 4 of the grid to take his first win of the season, a first win for Aprilia as well. It was an absolute classic. The rain coming. Was Brad Binder going to do yet another wet weather with dry tyres masterclass? Was Bagnaia, the world champion, going to risk it all? In the end, it was Espargaro to take it, and we're hoping for more of the same this weekend here at the Red Bull Ring. It's round 10 of MotoGP in 2023, the Crypto Data Austrian Grand Prix. Jack Appleyard and Simon Craiff are here to preview what is to come, and there's only one place to start, Simon, with Aleix, with Aprilia, because it was a special day for them. Not only did Aleix pick up that first win of the season for them, but 3 bikes inside the top 5 as well. A landmark day for the Noali factory, and after what has been a very, very difficult start to the season, throughout pre-season, everybody thought they were going to be the ones to push Ducati all the way this year. That hasn't materialised, but they certainly bounced back in some style at Silverstone.
Yes, they did, and Aleix did the job. So first, hats off to Aleix to put that together. The other Aprilia riders, as you mentioned, right there as well. Great to see Oliveira back, first race back that he's been fit. And Maverick was in there as well, and fighting, elbows out with Jack Miller early on. And yeah, so I've been saying all year, the 3 tracks that I fully expect the Aprilia to be strong is Assen, and they just didn't get the results I expected. Silverstone, they did get the results I expected, and Phillip Island is the other one. These circuits all are not about acceleration and braking, they are about flowing. And the Aprilia, I think, is the best bike on the grid at flowing, at keeping it flowing. The turning of the bike, it's fast enough, but it seems like the most beautiful package to ride now that Suzuki's gone, through the corners, you know, keeping it flowing. And Aleix put it to it's, you know, he really put it to use. Great job, and in crazy, tricky conditions. You saw Aleix and Pecco were arguably the fastest on circuit in the dry, and when the rain started falling, you saw Binder and Oliveira streak forward, but then as it eased off, they went backwards again. So it was really like nerve-wracking for me to watch, and imagine being the team. They're super nervous. Look how happy that they got it across the line.
Aleix speaking to Massimo Rivola, which our cameras caught in one of our unseen videos that we always publish after the Grand Prix, behind the scenes footage that gives you a little bit more detail, a little bit more to the story of what happens during the Grand Prix, said that if that rain hadn't have come, he felt he had the pace to win that race by 3 seconds. He was that confident. But bringing it forward to this weekend, those circuits you speak about there, your Phillip Islands, Assens and Silverstone, at this end of the spectrum is the Red Bull Ring all the way over here. Let me get it in camera shot, all the way over here.
It is. It's the opposite. It is all about acceleration from slow corners and braking, you know, deceleration. And it's been a weakness. But since we last knew it was a weakness, they have improved. I've spoken to Aleix in debriefs and asked him, especially about deceleration, because they've been talking about stability, front lock, basically getting that bike to stop quicker for about 12 months. And it sounds like they've improved that and a couple of other areas. So for me, it's going to be my first question to Aprilia when I get into the pit lane. Do you believe, before we really see, I want to know if they believe they have improved. But they've improved in a few other areas. Starts, they've improved. Let's see this weekend about deceleration and acceleration.
I think we're speaking about Massimo Rivola. He himself said that this is the weekend to test that just what level Aprilia are at, because as we've said, we know in previous years, before Aprilia were jumping to the top of the timesheets and taking race victories, they were competitive at those circuits. So if they can be here, competitive, fighting at the front, I think that says a lot about the progress they've made and the package as a whole now.
And that's not going to be easy, what you've just said, because Ducati and now KTM, that is what we're talking about, is their strong point, especially KTM.
Yeah.
Decelerating, accelerating, that's where they're strong. So to match them in that area isn't going to be easy. If they do, Aprilia are really here.
We're going to talk KTM in a second. How can we not? Of course, we are here at the Red Bull Ring. Huge home Grand Prix for them. But before that, let's talk Pecco Bagnaia. Aleix Espargaro was, of course, incredibly impressive, grabbed all the headlines. But for the man holding the number one plate, leading the championship with his rivals quite a long way behind him, just how impressive was it that Bagnaia was quite happy to sit out at the front and be the first man to hit those conditions that were ever-changing lap after lap and look so comfortable in doing it as well?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to sound like a broken record because I'm saying every week now how impressed I am with Pecco. Basically, he's on form. You know, every time he gets race weekend, he sorts his little niggles out on Friday, and Saturday he's there, every Sunday he's there, and he's got a heap of weight on his shoulders. You know, he wants to be, to retain that title, and he's managing to be damn fast. Like, he took control of the race, look like that, straight away in the early laps, and yes, Aleix looked super fast, was hunting him down, but I just think Pecco, every circuit we go to, he's on form like this. So that's no easy feat. I'm really impressed with him.
Now 41 points clear in the championship. How important is this for Pecco, do you think, to be on this run at the moment? Obviously, the championship is one thing, but the manner in which he sort of fell apart in 2021, then at the start of 22, even at the start of this year as well, I still don't think there are a lot of people out there that were convinced that Pecco Bagnaia is the real deal. A lot of people thinking that he's just on the best bike, but is he now proving that regardless of what motorcycle he's on, he's the real package?
Actually, that's really well put. And I would just like to explain it in the words that you have to go through the bad times to be fully forged, you know, fully formed as a rider. And those mistakes, if you don't learn from them, you never become, you know, what he is becoming now. He hasn't yet, and I mean, when you look at riders' careers in general, it's these bad times, these mistakes that you learn from. We're seeing him do it. It's also injuries and how you deal with them mentally, physically, how you come back for them. And after a rider of his caliber has gone through all those things, then they are really hard to stop. And I love to see a rider realise his potential like we're seeing with Pecco now.
Extended out that championship lead after weekends really to forget for both Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin. Bezzecchi, of course, had a pretty good Saturday, pole position and on the podium in the sprint, but that crash incredibly costly in the Grand Prix. For the pair of them now, what's this weekend all about? Just trying to get back on track again and trying to keep the pressure on as much as they possibly can do?
As you said at the beginning of this, we still have 11 races when you include this one to go.
Easy to forget.
Only halfway. So the championship is still wide open, even for those two. You know, it's still possible. You know that your opposition are going to make a mistake in 11 GPs and 11 sprints, so 22. I mean, that's a lot of chances of all sorts of bad things happening, and to come through that unscathed is unlikely. So, look, this circuit, if we're talking about here, it's going to be, for me, a really good circuit for KTM and Ducati.
Yep.
And the strong riders on those machines are going to take a lot of beating, and those riders you're mentioning are on those bikes. There's a good chance of them having a good result here.
Of course, Jorge Martin has won here before, was incredibly fast here last year before he made that costly error. In terms of him getting that championship fight back on track, he's going to be one of the key contenders.
Coming into here, this circuit, I've actually put a stake and a wine bet on a KTM winning one of them. You know, the sprint or the main race.
Nice wine.
The last time, the last time I did that was Jerez, and I won the stake, and the wine. So we haven't managed to sit down and do it with the person I betted with, and it's within the KTM garage, and so I said double or nothing here.
Right, so big stakes then.
I think they can do it. The worry for them is Jorge Martin on the Ducati. He's fantastic here. So is his bike. Pecco Pecco, obviously, he's been fantastic everywhere. Bez, he's on form as well. He made a mistake, real easy one to do. Fast turn, I think that aero, the hole, he got caught out, front tyre pressure. So what I'm thinking is it's the Ducatis and the KTMs with the riders on form, feeling confident. Jack, you can't count them out either. They're going to fight for it here in the Red Bull Ring, and anyone on another machine fighting in there, I think, is doing an extra good job.
Is it too far to say that this weekend it's maybe not a Ducati that is the pre-race favourite? Because all of the characteristics of this revised, revamped, brand new KTM is seemingly going to tick all of the boxes to be fast around here.
Yes, but I think they're easy, and they're going to want it. It's the home race, so I think their riders will, But it's so easy to make a mistake. I think the weather could play a part. It always does in these Austrian mountains, little isolated storms come through. Anything can happen, but the favourites are the riders on form on Ducatis and KTMs.
Let's focus on KTM. Brad Binder, firstly, in particular. Of course, a victory around here in unusual circumstances, but a victory nonetheless. A place that he's also been victorious around in Moto2 in years gone by, so I'm sure that confidence will be high for Brad, even though, again, like most others, he had a weekend that was pretty up and down in Silverstone. The podium was the big talking point coming away from it, but I'm sure he would have hoped to have had a little bit more. I don't know. What do you think his feelings were?
Well, the thing about Brad is he always puts in 100%. That's all that's possible to put in, and he puts it in. And so he's going to be in the fight. He's going to be in the fight on both Saturday sprint and on Sunday in the race. This one that he won in those treacherous conditions was like stunning and so dangerous, so scary. Not even he liked it. It was so terrifying out there in the completely wrong conditions for those brakes, tyres. So I'm sure he hopes that doesn't happen again, but he is well capable of putting it on the top of the box Saturday or Sunday.
Speaking to the media today, we're going to hear from Brad, incidentally, in around 5 minutes' time in our opening press conference of the weekend. He said he still believes that he can fight for the championship. As you've said, there's still a long way to go. 22 point-scoring opportunities, over 400 points, but he is quite a bit cut adrift now. Do you think even he still believes that he can fight for this championship, or does he need...
Excuse me, Brad?
Yes.
Yeah. I have no doubt. And if Brad is thinking like that, he's not a... What's the word? He's realistic.
Yeah.
He's got his feet on the ground. If he's thinking that, he must be confident. And he's repeatedly said that KTM today gave me the best bike I've ever had. He said that a couple of times, meaning the KTM's getting better still. They haven't stopped fighting to improve their machine. So both, and Jack has played a huge part in that. I think Jack hasn't realised his potential on the KTM yet, but his brilliance coming in, he's showed another level of, another dimension I didn't know was with Jack, and KTM really value him for that. And Brad is reaping the rewards of what Jack's brought in and KTM's hard work. So, yeah, to get back to your original question, I have not written Brad off at all. 11 races to go, and he's hungry.
And that introduction of Jack Miller, along with his crew chief, Christian Pupelin, plus a few other marquee signings over the past 18 months, is detailed in depth in the latest MotoGP stories, the KTM Evolution, which you can watch on MotoGP.com now. Well worth a watch as we see the orange mark rise up and take the fight to Ducati. Let's touch on Jack Miller finally then, because as you say, he's yet to make his mark fully with KTM. He was a little bit late to his media duties this morning because he said he was deep in conversation, in meetings with a lot of the KTM technical staff as they tried to just evaluate where they were at this halfway point of the season and where they can make that next step. For you, where do you think he can make that next step to be up there fighting with the likes of Bagnaia?
Well, we're seeing very similar pattern to what we saw with Jack on the Ducati, meaning him going backwards, being fast early on. Oh, he's always fast, fast early on, and then going backwards. And I think some people have given up on him because of that. I haven't. I really haven't. I believe that within too long, I thought we would have already seen it soon after Argentina time. I thought we were going to see it from Jack, but I expect to see it soon, that he, for want of a better way to put it, realises his potential on the KTM. And when he does, you're going to know, because it'll be top of the box, so don't give up on Jack yet. That's all I'd like to say.
Now a better time than any. I'm speaking to him, he's had experience whilst at Honda of enjoying the Japanese Grand Prix, whether it be with Ducati, Mugello and everything that comes with the Italian Grand Prix. We said there's simply nothing like walking into the Red Bull ring with an orange shirt on and seeing the orange flags, a sea of orange everywhere. It certainly will give them a lift. And finally, we have to touch on the other two gas machines. We're expecting some news this weekend as well, by the way. Augusto Fernandez said to keep an eye out on some news dropping, maybe Saturday morning. Potentially that's where we've had it previously. A great chance for both Augusto and Paul as well, who took his time to reintegrate himself, to really show that Yamamoto GP rider, don't forget about me just yet.
I'm glad you brought those two up. I didn't expect you to, but I mean, Pole looks better this weekend, more prepared than he did. I still expect him to take a little more time to fully come back from what he's been through. Yeah. I think both, especially mentally, but also physically, he's missed all the season, and that is a good head start for the others. I think he'll take a race or two more to fully be back. I hope he proves me wrong. Augusto, I've got this niggling gut feeling he could pull off something special here, because I just think the bike will work here, and he's young, hungry, and now it's halfway season. He has learnt a lot. I think he could put something together. I'm hoping he can, but don't be surprised if he does put something special.
We're going to work out if that's enough of a hunch for Simon to wager another glass of wine on it whilst we're listening to this press conference. Coming up, Marc Marquez, Alex Marquez and Marco Bezzecchi. So stick around for that one. But first up, to preview the 2023 Crypto Data Austrian Grand Prix, the World Championship leader Pecco Bagnaia alongside Aleix Espargaro, Jorge Martin and KTM's very own Brad Binder.